Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the Administration for Community Living, and the Indian Health Service, I would like to welcome everyone to the Long-Term Services and Supports webinar series. My name is Nicole Pino, and I work for Kaufman and Associates. I will be your moderator today. Today's webinar is titled Fall Free Fridays, Expanding Education to Prevent Injuries. Please note this webinar series is supported by a contract awarded by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this webinar are those of the presenter and do not necessarily represent the official position or policies of the Department of Health and Human Services or the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Today's webinar objectives are to explain how partnership between the Area Agency on Aging District 7 and Shawnee State University in Southern Ohio came about, discuss the role of each partner in developing, implementing, and sustaining the Fall Free Fridays initiative, provide an overview of efforts to make sure the live stream reaches a wide audience, and lastly, describe how Fall Free Fridays complements the AAA7's other programs to reduce the fear of falling and help other elders stay active. All right, so I would like to go ahead and introduce our presenter. Her name is Jenny Lewis. She's the Director of Community Outreach with the Area Agency on Aging District 7. Jenny, please go ahead.
Thank you, Nicole, and good afternoon from Ohio to everyone. I know some of you are joining us and it's morning, so good morning to all of you. But here in Ohio, it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're just so delighted to be able to present on our Fall Free Fridays initiative. A little background about myself. I've been at the Area Agency on Aging District 7 here in Ohio for, it'll be 15 years in February. I do have a bachelor's degree in communications. Prior to joining the Area Agency on Aging District 7, my background is primarily in hospital and healthcare marketing and PR. And so I was able to bring some of what I learned there here through the Area Agency on Aging District 7. And again, just very delighted to be here to talk about our Fall Free Fridays initiative. First, I wanted to just offer an overview of our Fall Free Fridays initiative, and then we're just really going to break it down, how it started and the evolution of that over the past 4 years. So Fall Free Fridays is a virtual education partnership between our agency and one of our local universities, Shawnee State University, and their occupational therapy program. Fall Free Fridays is a live stream on Facebook, and it's a platform that gives the graduate students in that OT program the opportunity to meet their classroom requirement of providing community education. And it also gives our agency the opportunity to provide public education and information about falls prevention and tips. Expand that outside of just speaking to folks in the community. It allows us to expand that reach through the platform on Facebook. So a little bit about us, the Area Agency on Aging District 7, or AAA7, because it's quite a mouthful. We serve 10 core counties in rural Southern Ohio. We're right along the Ohio River, and we go up north a couple counties down from our state capital in Columbus. We have been providing services since 1972, long-term care home and community-based services. And for many years, we have offered evidence-based wellness classes, which includes falls prevention. This just shows you where we are in the state. We are, like I said, right along the Ohio River. We do cover 10 counties, quite a large area to serve. From east to west, it takes us about 2.5 hours travel time. A lot of individuals, very rural area. We also have 12 AAAs throughout the state of Ohio. Very strong aging network here in our state. Have a lot of meetings amongst ourselves and sharing best practices and ideas. So that's a little about where you can find us in the state of Ohio. A little bit about Shawnee State University. So Shawnee State, or SSU, is located in Portsmouth, Ohio, which is in Scioto County here in Ohio, right along the Ohio River. It's one of Ohio's newest public universities, founded in 1986, offers a variety of academic programs. and it prepares students to succeed in tomorrow's world. Part of their mission is accomplishing that through a variety of focus areas, including community engagement. And I picked that out because a part of this initiative is meeting that community engagement mission. So Shawnee State's occupational therapy program, a little bit of history here about how that has grown over time. A lot of what we find is very beneficial through this initiative and through this partnership is that it allows us and the university to really educate individuals more about what occupational therapy is. We find that sometimes individuals know what physical therapy is, and they've heard of occupational therapy, but they're really not sure what that means. So physical therapy is the ability is helping folks with the ability to move the body. Occupational therapy helps individuals improve their ability to perform activities of daily living. And so through this initiative, not only are we helping with falls prevention, education, and tips, but we're also educating the community about what occupational therapy is. This is just a breakdown of the Master of Occupational Therapy program at Shawnee State University. So the students we're working with are graduate students. And this Fall Free Fridays initiative is incorporated into their studies, into their requirements for that particular class. You can see the two classes there, the evaluation and intervention for older adults, and where this class is incorporated into their classwork, into their projects. So the Fall Free Fridays initiative creates that opportunity for meaningful interactions and creativity for the students. The students really enjoy watching previous presentations and building on what was presented before and making changes so that they can make it their own. They learn to collaborate with each other and with our staff to promote community health and wellness for the older adult population. I also wanted to add that we have a really great relationship with Shawnee State. In fact, the president of our board is the dean of college in the College of Health and Human Services at Shawnee State. So it's just a great partnership that has really grown over the years. So where did this partnership begin? So between our agency, the AAA7, and SSU, Shawnee State University, began back in 2008. So at that time, when we started our initial partnership, students in the Master of Occupational Therapy program worked with our agency on falls prevention initiatives through a couple different ways. One is through our Senior Home Information Program, or we call it SHIP. So this is a program that we have in 2 of the counties within our 10-county district. It offers free home safety inspections for individuals over the age of 60. It's free, no cost. And what this does is we work with qualified law enforcement officials, firefighters, aging service professionals, and the occupational therapy student interns on ways that we can improve safety in an individual's home, where they might be susceptible to a break-in, perhaps a fire, perhaps fall risks in their home. And so the students in the occupational therapy program actually help us in the Senior Home Information Program identify fall risks. Maybe lighting is not that great in their home and could cause a fall. Maybe they have loose rugs. Just kind of going into the home with a new perspective and trying to identify perhaps some fall risks for that individual. So that's the Senior Home Information Program. Students also have helped us with our Matter of Balance Falls Prevention Program. Some of you might be familiar with the Matter of Balance program. This is an award-winning evidence-based program that is designed to reduce the fear of falling and increase activity levels of older adults. And so we have had the Matter of Balance program for many years, and students actually become trained to help teach that program in the community. So initially, again, in 2008, we worked with the students at Shawnee State University on these 2 initiatives, the Senior Home Information Program, and then actually training them to help us teach the Matter of Balance Falls Prevention Program in the community. Students also learned about our agency. We would have staff that would go and present to the students during their class time on a variety of topics, elder abuse, our regional long-term care ombudsman program, and the services and programs that are available within our agency. We find that it helped them in their career to know that there are resources out there and available. So it's kind of a two-way street. We help them and they're helping us, and together we're working on this great partnership. So the concept of why we're here today to talk about Fall Free Fridays. So as I just mentioned, prior to 2020, we worked with the students and with the occupational therapy program. And the students were trained, as I mentioned, in the Matter of Balance classes to teach at locations within the community. So we would set the classes up. We would teach the students for the Matter of Balance. They would become Matter of Balance coaches. We would actually go in person to the community, set classes, take registrations, and the students would help us teach the classes in the community at physical locations. Well, then we all know what happened in 2020. The pandemic hit and we all had to pivot and adjust. And we couldn't be in the community anymore. And so we started looking at everything that we were doing and how are we going to adjust what we're doing? As you all know, we couldn't be in the community. For my department in community outreach, we really had to think outside the box because we couldn't go and be with people. We couldn't go to events. One of those events and one of those community initiatives was the Matter of Balance classes. We are not able to have the students go out into the community anymore to teach these classes in the community. How are we going to meet this classroom requirement? Let's think outside the box. So we thought, why don't we take those classes or the concept of what's taught in those classes to social media? So we moved the community education portion of their classroom requirement to a live stream platform. A lot of people were doing this, as we all know, during the pandemic. Everybody was very tied into social media, watching webinars. We're here today. A lot of this grew from the pandemic and the popularity of webinars and going virtually. So why not do this on Facebook and a live stream platform? So we are embarking on our 5th round in 2024. We are continuing to do this. I know some of those live stream kind of concepts fell off a little bit after we all kind of quote unquote went a little bit back to normal after the pandemic, but we have found that this is continuing to be a great item for us to offer to our community. The students continue to love doing the live streams and it has proven very successful for us. So we're continuing this. It also helps us continue to promote our falls prevention to an even larger audience. It's very important to be in person with individuals, but you're kind of closed into the individuals that just are registered and show up to that physical location. Being able to be on a live stream allows us to reach that audience, reach out to an even larger audience, even beyond our district, our 10 counties, even beyond our state. So it helps us support our wellness initiatives and, like I mentioned, grow that audience. So that was the concept. So now we need to develop the Fall Free Fridays. So live stream platform, providing education on Facebook, again, taking the concepts taught in the community education and moving it to that virtual format. The topics were determined ahead of time. The students and their professors worked on how to kind of coordinate each of those different topics, what the different topics should be, and they divided it among the students that are in the class through a team approach. They would have 3 to 4 on their team. They would have their particular topic. They would research it, and then they would be ready to present on the live stream. My job was easy. I just have to host the live stream. And so what I would typically do is I would open up, I would facilitate, and then I turn it over to the students. I take myself off camera and the students actually do the research and the teaching of the topic that they have researched. And so it's really, really proven to be really great for the students to get that practice in presenting and to also present that education to the community. So each group does the research, they present the live stream for up to 15 minutes. We don't want it to go any time past 15 minutes, but they have a 15-minute window where they actually present that. So the focus for Fall Free Fridays. So I wanted to just go through a little bit about what each of the episodes focus on. Like I mentioned, we're actually going to start into our 5th season. We started Fall Free Fridays in 2020, the fall of 2020. And since that time, we've had a few more rounds of it. Basically, the concept pretty much stays the same, but we mix it up a little bit each year. And of course, you're having new students each year that are presenting as well. Just wanted to go through a little bit about what each of the focus areas are here with the Fall Free Fridays. So typically our episode 1 will be about facts about falls. What are those facts about falls and what's my risk? One of the facts the students share is, more than 1 out of every 4 Americans age 65 or older fall each year. So it's just reminding the community about those facts and what's my particular risk. It's a really great way to kind of start the series and talking about falls and the facts about falls and why it's important to be talking about that. Episode 2 from last season in 2023 was Your Health and What's on Your Feet Matters. And so typically during this episode, the students will talk about proper footwear. It's usually a very popular episode that folks turn into. They have visual aids, they show different shoes, they talk about what's the best type of footwear to wear. Folks really like the visual aids. And so they always usually end up telling some different facts that folks didn't know about, looking at examples of footwear and what's good for you and why, maybe flip-flops aren't the greatest thing to wear and why that could cause a fall. So it's really great for the students to kind of talk about that, do the research on footwear, and then present that to the community through the Fall Free Fridays initiative. Episode 3 last year talked about exercise is the best medicine. This is always a fun one. The students like to show different exercises. They actually will do a little bit of demonstration on the live stream. They'll show some different exercise equipment, talk a little bit about what is good exercise equipment to use, really drive home the fact that you don't have to run a marathon to exercise, that moving is very important, and ways that you can do that in your home. Typically what they do is they'll show those exercises, a quick little demonstration. Some of those exercises can incorporate weight shifting, leg raises where you're sitting in your seat, pretty easy for folks to do in their home, tandem and heel toe walking, and marches, just easy exercises that you can do at home just to encourage that movement and why it's important to encourage that movement. And just to let folks know different exercises that they can do in the comfort of their own home. Episode 4 was about home safety in the kitchen, on the stairs, and in the laundry room, talking about approximately 60% of all falls happen inside the home. And so talking about home safety and how individuals can incorporate that home safety into these very common areas in the home, the kitchen, the laundry room, and the stairs. Again, they're talking about rugs, how to secure them, how cleaning up spills immediately are some of the examples that they share, how to using a front loading washer or dryer kind of reduces reaching and straining. Simple tips that we're not usually thinking about, but that are really good and healthy to do. Using a rolling hamper or cart to keep your hands free of large loads and carrying things around your house, putting handrails on the stairs. Again, seems like common sense kind of simple concepts, but driving that home and mentioning it and talking about it is great for individuals living in their home as well as caregivers to kind of think, make notes on these, and try to incorporate that into their home. Episode 5 is about community mobility, being out and about, thinking about going out, getting ready to go out and what to do, giving yourself time to get ready, putting on clothes and shoes while you're seated, wearing proper footwear again, cold weather tips, transportation, making sure that your car is the right fit. I know the students do a program called Car Fit where they actually look at an individual's car, make sure the seat is properly adjusted and what to do to make sure that they're sitting comfortably in their car. That's something that they talk about during this episode. Making sure that when you're in public spaces to be safe. Considering going out during non-busy times, taking advantage of parking that's close, being aware of cracks and uneven surfaces, and making sure to look before you walk. Again, things that we just need to be reminded about doing when you're out and about in the community. Episode 6 is about work smarter, not harder. This is basically just talking about energy conservation and making sure to be in mind of that. Episode 7 is about faulty habits and everyday activities. Again, just talking about ways to preventing risks of falls, making sure you get exercise, healthy habits, There actually is a little chart that we have that includes to talk about bad habits and how to improve those bad habits in different ways of importance, like walking around the house at night without a light, making sure maybe turn on some lamps or hall lights so that you don't fall. Forgetting to wear glasses in darker lit areas, maybe keeping your glasses on your nightstand. Little simple tips like that. And the students typically usually have their handout that I share on our website. And so all of it together, we have on our website, and individuals can hop on there if they missed the episode or go back and kind of review some of the information that was shared by the students. And then the last episode is basically putting it all together. So those students that have the last episode just basically review everything that has been talked about so far and just talk about your plan for falls prevention and how you can best prevent a fall. After each episode, I always include everything in a package. I call it an episode package on our website after the live stream. So in that package is included a link to the recorded presentation. The students, it's their responsibility, in addition to preparing for the live stream, it's their responsibility to make a handout that just basically summarizes their live stream content. So the student handout is always included on in the episode package as well. And then on our social media page, on our Facebook page, we always, after the episode has aired, we always kind of sum it up with a fall-free fact. So there at the top is a screenshot of our live stream, and that's at the beginning when I'm welcoming them. After I do a welcome, I hop off, and then it's just the students that do the presentation. After they're done with their presentation, I'll hop back in. I will take care of any questions that have been entered into the chat, and then they will entertain those, and we just usually have a little bit of a wrap up. Underneath that screenshot, you'll see an example of the handouts that the students prepare. Again, it's their responsibility to take that information and summarize it into a quick 2-page handout. You'll see that's the example of the exercises. So with this handout, the individuals can actually see there on the paper how to do those quick exercises. There's also some quick pictures there of some of the exercise equipment that they may have talked about during the episode. Again, that particular episode is a good visual aid one. They oftentimes will showcase those small exercise equipment while they're doing the live stream so that individuals can see that. Sometimes they'll send me some links on some suggestions on some of the exercise equipment that they have shared. The fall-free fact there on the right, you'll see, is the infographic that I mentioned that we always share after the live stream. Again, it's a way for us to kind of pick out one fact or something that summarizes the episode that we really want to drive home. And then it calls people back to the episode. Not always can people catch us live, but we all know about social media. Once it's there forever. So there is always a recorded version of the webinar, of the live stream on our Facebook page. So folks can watch it after the fact, which is where we usually get most of our folks viewing it, is after the fact. So when we do the fall-free fact infographic, that sends them back to the Facebook page, and we really encourage them to watch our recent Fall Free Fridays live stream to learn more about how exercises you can do at home, or whatever the focus was for that particular Fall Free Friday. So again, going live with the Fall Free Friday. So again, the students are assigned to cover the selected topic. They do have a practice run prior to the live stream. So the students had we're actually starting up our new season on Friday. So the students had their practice run yesterday. They stay in contact with me. I make sure I send them the link for the live stream. We have some conversations about what they want to do or how their presentation is going to look. Again, the presentation is completely up to the students. Whether or not they want to have visual aids, that's up to them. This week, the students are actually going to have a quiz. So they've already sent me that quiz, and I will include that in the live stream. They stay in communication with me, forward me along any handouts they may have, any supporting materials such as their visual aids. Sometimes they have pictures they want me to include. For example, if they're talking about exercise equipment, I can pop up a picture so that individuals can see what we're talking about. The Fall Free Fridays has really grown and expanded over the last 4 years. Students, like I said, watch previous episodes and they try to improve a little bit or add a few things. So it's always neat to see how the students change that or make it their own. So promoting Fall Free Fridays. So we do not have a budget for Fall Free Fridays. This is all no cost promotion. We do news releases, public service announcements that promote the series and episodes. I just sent a news release a few days ago about our Fall Free Fridays that's starting this Friday, public service announcements. We always do a teaser infographic that is included on social media that shows or mentions what the particular topic or focus is going to be for the upcoming episode. And then again, the Fall Free fact that we have specific to each episode is shared after the episode for further promotion of not only the series, but also the episode that we just aired. So again, these are examples of some of the promotions that surround Fall Free Fridays. On the right, you'll see the Fall Free fact that I'd mentioned. Again, that is showcased after the live stream has aired. It's to wrap up that particular live stream episode and to promote it further. On the left, you'll see the infographic, the teaser infographic that we share on Facebook, just to promote the upcoming episode. So this was one for last year, and you'll see in the corner, we said it's back because it was something that was an initial kind of concept during the pandemic, and it's continuing, and it's still something that we find much value in. So that basically is just showcasing and promoting when the next episode's going to be and what the feature is going to be so that folks can make note if they want to see, depending upon what the topic is, if it's something that interests them or they might want to watch it later. So the effect of Fall Free Fridays. So these are just some numbers that I've pulled for the past 4 years of the past 4 seasons of showcasing the Fall Free Fridays. So obviously 2020 has been our highest reach because that was during the pandemic and a lot of individuals were on social media, and these kind of live streams and platforms and webinars were kind of the go-to because we weren't seeing each other in person. So in 2020, our average reach was over 1,000 per episode. And I'm counting in not only the live folks watching live, but folks watching after the fact as well. The highest episode reach in 2020 was 1593. So that's a large number. But again, that was during the pandemic. And I think a lot of people were really tuned into that due to the fact that we were all still kind of staying inside. We brought that back in the spring of 2022. During that time, our average reach was about 397. Highest was 479. Fall of 22, average reach was 135. Highest was 201. And then last year, we started to go back up a little bit. Average reach was 368, with the highest being 597. So Fall Free Fridays was just the beginning. We've expanded this partnership and the concept of Fall Free Fridays. So in the spring of 2021, we actually started another live stream and we called it Functional Fridays. So the same students, the graduate students, but we were doing this in the spring and we had a little bit of a different focus. During the Functional Fridays, we focused on stroke, chronic conditions, older adult driver safety awareness. You can see the different episodes there and what our focus was, just so you can get an idea of some of the content that was decided upon by the professors and the students. The first episode was everyday activities after a stroke. They talked a lot about changes in movement, adaptive equipment for individuals who have had a stroke. So that was very important and good to share for individuals. Episode 2 was anticipating changes that affect driving. We felt this was very unique and something to share. During this episode, students talked about self-assessments for driving. Again, the car fit that I talked about, and driving fitness, some different links and resources to kind of assess driving fitness. Episode 3 was about family conversations, and that was one that a lot of folks listened to and listened in on. It's never something that folks want to have a conversation with a loved one about driving and maybe not driving anymore. So that particular episode really talked about those difficult conversations and how to start those conversations. So we had some resources and information about some questions and how you can start those different conversations there about driving. Episode 4 talked about screening and evaluation of driving. Episode 5, interventions that can empower drivers and families. Again, this talked about adaptive equipment. Episode 6 talked about staying engaged in the community with or without a car, so offered a lot of different options there. Episode 7 went back to chronic conditions, so we talked about chronic condition management with diabetes. The occupational therapist really talked about how that occupational therapy takes a place in that. Episode 8 was the importance of daily routines and habits for those living with dementia. And episode 9 was energy conservation with COPD and other pulmonary issues. So again, the focus for Functional Friday, same kind of concept in terms of our live stream and how the students divided those up, but the focus was a little different. Again, that started in the spring of 2021. And then in 2023, we brought back Functional Fridays and we had a little bit of a different focus. This was on technology, fitness, and better sleep. And you can see the different episodes that we have during that particular series in the spring of 2023. We had technology made easier, helpful and useful apps. That was really interesting to share. Functional fitness for healthy aging, how to improve your daily routine, and tips for better sleep. So a little bit of different topics and conversations outside of what we concentrate on during the Fall Free Fridays is really surrounding falls prevention. The Functional Fridays had a little bit of a different focus. So last year was on technology, fitness, and better sleep. So expanding even further, so last year was the first time that we decided to actually go back in the community, kind of to where we started with the students. So in addition to continuing our live streams, we felt we were ready and it was time for us to go back in the community and provide that education that we are providing on our live streams and what we did prior to the pandemic, and bringing that back into the community. So the students provided education at local senior centers and senior apartment complexes. So we contacted, we cover 10 counties, and we contacted several of our senior centers and some of our senior apartment complexes and asked them if we could come and do a presentation with the students. So the students, again, were the focus of the presentation. Their program was titled, "What are the benefits of occupational therapy?" So again, talking in general about what occupational therapy is. What are the benefits of occupational therapy? Students did a fabulous job. They demonstrated exercises like what we're doing on the live stream, but again, we're bringing it in person. We're able to actually see people and show them and have that back and forth conversation. The exercises were demonstrated to help them increase their mobility and strength. We're continuing to share information about falls prevention and tips to do that. And then we also, as an area agency on aging, had the opportunity to talk about resources in the community, what our role is, a little bit about us, and how we can help individuals and support their health and well-being. So this is just a couple snapshots of that in-person education. Again, we really had not gone back out physically in the community with the students since prior to the pandemic. So this was last year. Really excited. You can see there on the right, there's some of the students demonstrating some of the adaptive equipment. You can see they had them doing some different activities. There's some buttons there, and they had the individuals make some trees with the buttons and draw. And so it was them using their hands. Again, the occupational therapy and showing them and demonstrating to them what occupational therapy is and how that's incorporated into your daily activity and your daily living. At the bottom, there's a group of some of the students. It's not all of them, but it's this particular group of students that was at this location. And then on the left, you'll see the flyer that we designed to promote this. We also shared a news release, public service announcements in our communities. These were completely free. This particular location is in one of our counties, and they were able to have somebody provide lunch And so the individuals and the seniors were able to attend and have lunch and have some social time together. Again, talking about occupational therapy, talking about those exercises and the falls prevention tips. And again, us as an area agency on aging, having an opportunity to talk more about what we do and resources in their community. So the students really enjoyed it. Again, it gave them that opportunity to talk and teach what they're learning and to incorporate that into what individuals do on an everyday basis. And so we were really excited and honored that this concept, this initiative, our Fall Free Fridays, we were recognized. Our National Association, US Aging, recognized us with a 2024 US Aging and Achievement Award just this last July in Tampa. We were one of 22 programs recognized in the country with an Aging Achievement Award. So we were very, very excited to be able to be there and be recognized for the efforts with Fall Free Fridays. Again, I think what we're really proud about is that it's something that we continued even after the pandemic and after folks went back out in the community. We felt the value of the initiative is still very evident. It's a great partnership for us and the university, and we still find a lot of good in it. And we feel like it's a really great way for us to expand reach about falls prevention and for us to work together. So the cost effectiveness of Fall Free Fridays, it's really great. There's no additional cost for staffing. It falls within my duties and my job duties. I work with the students. I host the Fall Free Fridays, work with them to make sure we have all that we need. It's just a part of my outreach duties. We find and feel this is great outreach and PR for our agency. So no additional cost for that. It's a part of the educational experience and the class requirement for students. So it really gives them that real life experience. Of course, they're going and doing their internships and their placements, but this kind of gives them a different experience in that they're educating. It's very important for them to educate the community on not only what occupational therapy is, but ways to prevent falls, how you can make those changes in your home and the community. It's all about helping individuals prevent falls. And so that helps them kind of with an opportunity to educate that and to teach others what they have learned through their education. The live stream platform is free, so no cost there. And all the promotion is no cost. We do news releases, public service announcements, social media posts. So very, very cost effective. So as I mentioned, we're starting this Friday with our 5th season of Fall Free Fridays. You are all the first to see our infographic and our teaser. I will be sharing that later. So you all are the first to see. So our first Fall Free Fridays for this year will be this Friday at 10 o'clock. I've already been in conversation with the students who will be presenting that day. They'll be talking about fall facts. It's very good timing as well because this week is National Falls Prevention Awareness Week, so the timing is perfect. The students actually are having a contest this year. So I think I mentioned that each year the students kind of try to one up the year before. And so the professors have shared with me that the students are having a contest to see whose episode has the most views. And so they're really trying to become creative in how they're adding some different features. As I mentioned, this particular episode on Friday, September 27th, the students are having a quiz. And so it'll be very interesting to see what each of them have and which episode gets the most views. The titles that are set for this year, again, Fall Facts is always the first one. It's a good one just to kind of set the scene. They'll be talking about tripping hazards in the home, which is also very important. Lighting in the home, animals in the home has always been something we've mentioned about cats and dogs and animals and how they can be a tripping hazard, and maybe some tips to help prevent a fall. Again, avoiding falls in the community. Appropriate footwear and exercise is always important and always a popular topic. And then dressing techniques. So again, I encourage you all to tune in. If you can't watch live, again, we always have the episode package on our website that you can go back. You can always find the videos on our Facebook page. I always tell the students they never go away, so you can always find them there. And so we're really, really excited to embark on this next season of Fall Free Fridays. As you can see there at the top of our little teaser, I have award winning. So we're able to kind of use that this year, that we are an award winning Fall Free Fridays initiative. So that makes it nice to be able to add that little bit and again, continue the promotion of that special award that we received, that we're so proud to have received, and share that with the community through this season of Fall Free Fridays. So basically, in closing and summarizing, this has been a great and successful partnership with our agency and Shawnee State University. As I mentioned, we started this partnership in 2008. It has grown. We didn't let the pandemic kind of stop us. We just thought outside the box and how can we continue to have this partnership and to meet the needs that the students have, and to also help us promote falls prevention and our wellness initiatives, because during the pandemic, we couldn't have our wellness classes outside in the community. So this kind of helped us continue to share those falls prevention tips through this initiative. So goals were met for both organizations. Again, the students had their educational requirements. It's a great experience for those students. They could share those important falls prevention information, prevent injuries, aid and increase confidence for older adults and their caregivers too. The intergenerational focus has been so wonderful. We have the college students who are there getting their master's degree and sharing that information with older adults. Again, it's cost effective, and national recognition is always something nice to receive. So in our eyes, this has been a successful partnership. It just continues to grow, and we're excited for our Fall Free Fridays for this year and other ideas that we might have with the students and with the university. And that's my contact information. If anybody, feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. I'm happy to share more information about this initiative. There'll be something in the chat about where to find our Fall Free Fridays kind of package. We do have a special page on our website, and that's why we like this as well. We're able to kind of have a menu on our website that folks can go back to. We try to also encourage this for caregivers. It's very good information for caregivers as well. All of the information's on our website. You go to our website, AAA7.org. On the home page, there is a tab called About AAA7. And at the bottom of that particular tab, there is a little section called Special Features. And that's where all of the Functional Fridays and the Fall Free Fridays packages are located. Again, for each of the episodes, you'll find a recorded presentation. You'll find any materials, handouts, resources, links that the students shared, in addition to that Fall Free fact, the summary kind of fact after the episode. You also can go to our Facebook page. It's Area Agency on Aging District 7, Ohio. And of course, on the videos tab, you can find all of our videos and all of the live streams that we've had. And that is my presentation. I thank you for your time and will be happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
Yeah, thank you, Jenny. So yes, this is our time for questions. We'll first be addressing the questions already submitted in the Q&A box. The first question in the Q&A box, yes, the recording and the slides will be available online in the near future on cms.gov. So you should be able to find it there. Seeing a question here. Jenny, have we expanded on any other kinds of live streams?
We have, we love live streams. I think especially during the pandemic, I know for my department in community outreach, we couldn't go out into the community, and we wanted to get information out to individuals. So the Fall Free Fridays was our initial live stream. We've really built on that. During the pandemic, we also created a Medicare Monday. So we are working with the Ohio Senior Medicare Patrol, and once a month, we have a conversation with them, and they share with us any Medicare scams that might be out there or tips. We talk about open enrollment, anything related to Medicare. That started in the pandemic, and we are continuing that. We find great value in that. So that's once a month. During the pandemic, a couple other live streams that we hosted that we haven't had since, because we're kind of back out in the community. But one was a Wellness Wednesday. Again, I'd mentioned that we were not able to do our wellness classes out in the community because of the pandemic. So we kind of moved that content to a live stream, and that was called Wellness Wednesdays. So we talked about diabetes, chronic disease, falls. That was all incorporated in that. And then we also had a live stream called Coffee Break, where we would take one of our agency programs or an agency topic or feature, and just that would be a little coffee break, we called it, where we would just talk a little bit about our agency programs in a few minutes there. So we really utilize the live stream format. Again, the ones we're continuing still today are the Fall Free Fridays and the Medicare Monday.
Great, thank you. I'll go ahead and jump to the next question. How do students feel about the experience presenting on the live stream?
They love it. Their professors share with me that they really enjoy it. It's nice for them because they can tell their family and friends, mom and dad, hey, watch me on the live stream. They wouldn't be able to do that or come to a class to see them present. But it's kind of a proud moment for them to be able to share that with their families and friends. It helps us really expand that reach because they're sharing it with their family and friends. And so it helps more individuals know about our agency and about what occupational therapy is. And I think that that's the goal with this, is that not only does it help the university and the occupational therapy program educate individuals more on what OT is, but it helps us with expanded opportunity to share what we do as an agency as well. So they love it. They love to be on there, and they look forward to it every year.
Great. And what do you feel are the key to making a partnership like this successful?
I'm just really proud of the partnership we have with Shawnee State. I think it takes two partners that really want to achieve that goal, and that's why it's worked for so long. We're supporting the students, and again, it's that intergenerational approach that we really take value into. We're helping the students with their educational requirements, but then they're also able to interact with older adults and with our agency and with the community. It's really important. We've toyed around with some other intergenerational projects. I know through the pandemic, we developed a telephone reassurance program because social isolation was so huge in the pandemic. We're continuing that. We still have our telephone reassurance program, but when that was going on at the time, my son was in kindergarten, and we worked with his school on drawing holiday photos and Christmas photos and drawings that we actually mailed to the individuals on our telephone reassurance program. So another intergenerational kind of concept, but I feel that a partnership like this is very, it exists when two partners really have a goal and a common goal that they want to meet, and they want to help each other. And so I think that that's why it's been so successful, is that we both recognize the importance of this for each of us, and we're helping each achieve that goal. And for us, it's such a great opportunity for the students to have an outlet to showcase to the community what they have learned, and to get that practice as their graduate students. So they're next going out into the world to be occupational therapists. So it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to give them an outlet to do that.
Great, thank you. And does Triple A7 have plans to partner with additional universities on educational initiatives?
We would love to. We love partnerships. We just feel that provides a stronger opportunity for outreach and for doing great things. So we're always open to partnerships. Again, we worked with an elementary school. We've kind of toyed around with that idea. We'd love to work more with more partners. And again, just looking at what the goals are for each other and helping to achieve that.
Great, thank you. I am seeing the comments, a lot of great feedback that you had on your presentation, a lot of thank you, and thank you for sharing, and great job. And again, participants, I just want to remind you that in the chat, you should be able to find a list of the resources for AAA7. It includes their website as well as their Facebook page. And you can also find Jenny's email address as well if you need to contact her for potential partnership.
And I'm welcome to answer any questions. Anybody can feel free to email me if you'd like to ask me a question that way. Please don't hesitate to do that.
Perfect. Well, I just want to thank Jenny for joining us today. And in closing, I would like to remind everyone that today's webinar was recorded and that the audio and presentation slides will be made available online at cms.gov. Thank you again for joining today's webinar. Our session is now concluded. Thank you.